everyone. I'm Emilia Diaconescu, and I'm working for the Canadian Centre for Climate Services. And with this presentation, we are shifting from forecast to climate scale. And in this presentation, I will describe our group mandate, and I will give some examples of climate services we provide to Canadians. Okay. Therefore, the Canadian Centre for Climate Services was officially launched in October 2018, and we are part of climate change branch of Environment of Climate Change Canada. Our mandate is to provide Canadians with information and support to consider climate change in their decisions, and we support a whole of government approach to climate action by providing access to climate data tools, guidance, and support. And this constitutes the second step in the wheel of climate adaptation actions. And in order to achieve our mandate, we are working in collaboration with federal departments, provincial and territorial governments, indigenous peoples, regional climate services organizations, and other key partners. And those collaborations constitute the foundation of our services. Okay. In short, climate services are defined as a bridge between users and producers of climate data. And here I am summarizing our primary tasks. The first step in producing useful data, information, or products consists in engagement with users to define their needs. This is followed by the analysis of user needs in order to identify what climate products best represent those needs and in which form the data needs to be delivered to be relevant to a decision-making context. Part of our work involves also identification of data and knowledge gaps, as well as identification of pathway to address those gaps. In order to do that, we are in continuous dialogue and collaboration with climate data producers to transform existing data into scientifically robust climate data products and to address those gaps. A very large part of our work is destined to dissemination of climate data and products. This is done using user-friendly data portals, online tools for processing the data, training materials and case studies, and providing support desk services. Okay. Some of our key services can be accessed on our website, and they include a library of climate resources with access to over 300 reports, guidance, and description of tools and datasets, a web page that is presenting basic climate information concepts, information on how users can reach out to our support desk team, which can answer questions regarding climate data and the use of climate data, and as well as a climate data viewer and a climate data extraction tool, which give access to the climate data developed and supported by Environment and Climate Change Canada. Those data sets include historical data, climate data, as well as climate projections. Okay. Some of the products we provide are also developed in collaboration with other government departments. One such example is a map of adaptation actions, which is a result of collaboration with Natural Resources Canada. The map is being hosted at changingclimate.ca, and visitor can search for example of climate change adaptation actions across Canada by using an interactive map, filters, and keywords. Okay. Besides the climate data viewer that is available on our web page, our group also collaborates with regional climate provider to develop a range of climate data portals. Those online tools vary in complexity. For example, Climate Atlas is developed by Prairie's Climate Center and represents a great resource to learn about climate change in Canada. On the other hand, PAVICS is an advanced tool developed by Uranus for climate researchers and scientists with expertise in computing, and ClimateData.ca in the middle, is a more medium complexity product which provides historical data as well as high-resolution downscaled future climate model data, custom tools to analyze the data and extract the data, provides learning materials and climate data for specific sector of activity, and presently available on the internet are 4 sectors of activity: health, agriculture, buildings, and transportation. Okay. For each of the sectors on the webpage, people can find case study that present example on how climate data can be used for that specific sector. And here I am presenting an example, a figure from the case study on winter ice roads that will be soon available on the transportation model on ClimateData.ca. Winter ice roads are critical for access to remote northern communities and are already affected by climate warming. This case study explored one climate index that is defined as a start date of precondition period for the ice road construction and was computed as the date when the degree days of mean temperature below 0 will be greater than 380, and was computed for an ensemble of climate models projected for the historical period, as well as for 3 climate scenarios. And in this figure, we can see that for this specific location, the index was computed for 5 locations in northern Ontario. And for this figure, at one location, we can see that the start date of the precondition period for the ice road construction will shift from December for the historical period toward January as the climate is warming. Similar indexes are developed for the other sector as well and can be accessed directly on ClimateData.ca. Another project with a focus on Northern Canada is the Northern Climate Data Inventory. And in late 2020, Canadian Centre for Climate Services convened a working group of researchers from academia, Northern government organizations that are active in Northern climate science with the objective to identify, inventory, and characterize existing and publicly available climate data sets that are covering the Canadian North. This is an important early step to inform development of future climate products and services to support the climate change adaptation decision-making in the Canadian North. The number of members has increased during the period of the project, and there were 18 active members by December 2021. Okay. Just go to present a little bit. The inventory is presently available in the form of a report that includes an executive summary that is presenting the group recommendation, an introduction that is presenting the scope and the work done by the members. The first chapter is describing the data sets that were used in the report for the inventory from the Northern Canada point of view. And the most part of the report is destinated to the inventory of data, which is divided into the inventory of historical observational data and the inventory of model data. The report ends with a recommendation on the use of those data sets in the Canadian North, because we know that Canadian North have specifics different from the Canada as a whole. Yes, okay, I should go further. Therefore, the chapter destinated to the historical observation data has 5 sections, focusing on meteorological data, snow data, hydrology data, sea ice data, permafrost data, and subsection was developed for all the variables presented here. And an inventory is created for each of the variables separately, and guidance is provided for each of them. The bracket here is representing the number of data sets that is included in each inventory, and the group members has created documents explaining the metadata for many of those data sets that are included in the report as annexes. All the data sets that doesn't have annexes, however, have links to web pages that is explaining the data set and permits to download the data set. Okay, let's go to the modeling data. Modeling data start with the first chapter that is providing basic information about the emission scenario uncertainty level of global warming, but the main part of the chapter is the inventory of where explain 11 ensembles of simulations. And here I'm presenting the head of the table for the CIMIF 6-row data. We provide information on spatial resolution, temporal resolution, which number of model available, and links directly in the table to download the data and to documents that explaining the data. Guidance is also presenting in the report to explain the use of this data for the Canadian North. And just to finalize about this project, the inventory is available as a PDF document on the CCCS webpage here, and we are now in the phase 2 of the project, which is mainly focusing on integrating this report into an interactive online database. And we plan to have a workshop to introduce the reference. Please contact me if you are interested to attend this workshop. And my next, last slide is just to say that our work on providing climate services in Northern Canada is just at the beginning. There is much more to do, and here I am presenting our wish list, our plans. We plan to work more in collaboration with Northern and indigenous partners to develop all these projects. Thank you very much, and if you have questions.
Thanks a lot, Emilia. Yeah, I'm sure there are questions. It's a very comprehensive overview you gave, right? And are there any questions? Yes, Greg.
Yeah, hi. I saw you mentioning there that you have historical observational data sets that are available, and I can see why that would be very useful at particular locations, for example, to look at how temperature and different variables, winds may have changed, and how different users may want to take that into account in their applications. I mean, I was wondering along those lines, rather than just having point observations, do you think it would be useful, or do you have plans to incorporate reanalysis data? So rather than just point measurements, you would have fields of reconstructed variables that could then perhaps be useful for other applications.
Okay. For the moment, what is available in ClimateData.ca and also in our webpage are meteorological MSC observation stations data. We plan also on ClimateData.ca to put available annuspline data developed by NRCan, which is a gridded product based on observations that is used in bias correction of models. But for the reanalysis, for the moment, I know that MSC is working on developing a Canadian reanalysis using the reforecasting, but that is still work in progress. And once this is available, we are really interested to make that available for public as well. But the Northern inventory, it's in fact going over all the reanalysis that exist, and is providing information for people to download directly those reanalyses. And we provide guidance on the usefulness for the specific for the Northern Canada on that one. But for the moment, that is informal on a report, but the tables include direct links to those reanalyses, and we have all of them. And that, I think, will be a very useful document to have even for academia.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then one other thing perhaps to take into account, I think it's very true for the North, but all around Canada, is there's a lot of users who are very interested in changes in the sea state and in the ocean conditions. There's a lot of changes that have been seen, and to understand that contextually, and things, for example, the Canadian Coast Guard, I know they're interested in knowing, well, are there changes in the occurrence of extreme events for currents and waves and whatnot? So having information of that nature, I think, would be very useful as well.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you.